Today's quote is entitled, "We should not insult a Vaishnava, nor should we insult anyone else." Now, this is a purport from the story of Dhruva Maharaja. It's a little bit longer than most quotes, so just bear with me. It's very important and it's very powerful. Because of having insulted Dhruva Maharaj, Suruci would become mad upon the death of her son and would enter a forest fire, and thus her life would be ended. This was specifically mentioned by the Lord to Dhruva because he was determined for revenge against her. From this, we should take lesson that we should never try to insult a Vaishnava. Not only should we not insult a Vaishnava, but we should not insult anyone unnecessarily. When one serves a Vaishnava unknowingly, one still gets the good result. And if one unknowingly insults a Vaishnava, one suffers the bad result. A Vaishnava is especially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pleasing him or displeasing him directly affects the pleasure and displeasure of the Supreme Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:9-23. There are two main points in this purport. One point, which comes up often in Prabhupada's books, is pleasing and displeasing a Vaishnava. And I think what's significant here is Prabhupada clearly says, even if you don't know you're pleasing or you don't know you're displeasing, you get the result, either good or bad. So that's pretty significant. Say, well, I didn't know I was offending him. Okay. Perhaps the result will not be as disastrous as if you knew you were offending. You were consciously making an offense. Well, I didn't know that was an offense. I just said I thought he should do this better. Okay. It's not as bad, but still, Prabhupada's point is we have to be careful, because if we displease a Vaishnava, what did Prabhupada say? Krishna's displeased. If we please a Vaishnava, Krishna's pleased, and the easiest way to please Krishna is please a Vaishnava. The easiest way to displease Krishna, displease a Vaishnava. So that's one point. We know this, but it's always good to remind ourselves, because somehow or other we tend to offend devotees or criticize devotees or blame devotees or put them down occasionally. That's our human nature. So it's good to remind ourselves that no, Krishna doesn't like that, and my life as a devotee is meant to please Krishna, so why would I do anything? Even if I feel like doing it, even if I'm pushed to do it, if it doesn't please Krishna, why would I do it? I shouldn't. That's number one. The other thing, and we've talked about this previously, but I wanted to talk about it again because it's right here in the Bhagavatam, where Prabhupada says, we should not offend a Vaishnava, and indeed, we should not offend anyone. Because I think sometimes we think, well, okay, I shouldn't offend a Vaishnava, but it's okay to offend others. I don't know if you think that way, but it's likely that action or that thought, consciously or subconsciously, has entered your mind. Well, I should be very careful about respecting devotees. I should be very careful about pleasing Vaishnavas. But ordinary people, what does it matter? They're offensive, they do wrong things, they're ignorant. So it's not really, if I point it out, put them down, whatever, it's not an offense. And then you might say, well, look, in Prabhupada's books, he's talking about materialists and the foolishness of their lives, the foolishness of their thinking, and the foolishness of their action. So is that offensive? No, it's not, as long as you're not offensive, as long as you're trying to make a philosophical point, which is there in Shastra or Prabhupada has made. No, that's not offensive. But in your interaction and dealing with people, being critical, putting people down, being envious, and so forth, is being critical, being envious, putting people down. It doesn't matter who it is. It's a mentality. So you might say, but they're non-devotees. What does it matter? Well, they're people. And in our scripture, there is something called jana aparad. Jana aparad means offense to people in general. It doesn't destroy your bhakti, but it's detrimental because it's the wrong mentality. Trinadapi sunichena, we should respect everyone. That's why we shouldn't be critical. That's why we shouldn't offend everyone, because we're meant to see everyone as potential devotees, and we're meant to see everyone in relation to Krishna. So don't think it's okay to offend people because they're not devotees. That would be a big mistake. And the last point I want to make, just emphasize, if you practice something, you get good at it. So if you practice criticizing, even if it's not devotees, you practice criticizing others, you get good at criticizing. It becomes second nature. It becomes your habit. And eventually, what happens? It's going to get aimed towards devotees. So that's another reason why we should not be offensive to anyone, because it develops an offensive mentality, which then becomes second nature to us, which then we use against devotees unconsciously, inevitably, by habit. It's going to happen. And then, as Prabhupada said, when you offend devotees, Krishna's displeased and it harms you. So these are some things to think about. It's a beautiful purport. I like the purport, wanted to share it with you because I felt it was significant for us to understand. Hare Krishna. If you like this video, you can subscribe below. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you share this video with others, if you comment on it, if you like it, do whatever you have to click to share it, because I think a lot of devotees would appreciate getting these videos. I try to take our philosophy and put it in a practical way so we know how to apply it in daily activity. And this is one of the services I do. And I want to reach as many devotees as possible. If you can help me, I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you.